Good evening and welcome to yet another episode of the Health and Wellness Show. My name is Chabet Birir na kama kawaida, this is where we inform you, we empower you and we inspire you to take full control of your health and live your best life. Karibuni sana to today's episode of this show, and today we are talking about grief, something that affects many of us, if not all of us. Of late, you know, with social media, you wake up and you find news about death. Someone has lost someone, or even you could have lost someone. So we want to talk about grief and how to handle grief and how different communities and religions handle grief. And, you know, there are many forms of grief. Grief can come in many ways. You could lose your job, you could lose your spouse, you know, in terms of a breakup or a divorce. You can even, you know, lose part of your body, an arm, a leg. So all that is grief. But today I want to focus on death of a loved one or death of a national figure. And with me on set, I have three very amazing people who will help us understand grief better. We have three religions represented here, which is very good because we want to understand the culture and the communities from different religions, how they handle grief. Karibuni sana to the show. And I want you to introduce yourselves today. So we'll start with you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Kamal Sangani. And I do volunteer services and I conduct funeral services for the Hindu community on voluntary basis.
Okay. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you so
You'll
much.
help us understand the Hindu rights, you know, passage
Yes.
rights into the
For
afterlife.
For sure.
Next.
All right, thank you very much for having me on the show. Good evening, everyone. My name is Daisy Malinga. I am a clinical psychologist by profession, and I also have a background in, I'm brought up as a Christian, and I'd be able to share my perspective on the Christian.
Yeah, so you'll help us understand the psychological aspect and the Christian aspect.
Yes.
I'll help you on the Christian aspect because I'm also a Christian. Karibu sana to the show, Daisy.
Thank you.
And last but not least,
Jambo nyote, mimi kwa majina naitwa Ustadh Hamza Khamis Juma kutoka Kibra, na nafurahi kuwa hapa na tutajumuika pamoja inshallah.
karibuni sana to the show. And I want us to start with you, Daisy, being a psychologist, to help us understand what is grief in the first place.
Okay. So grief is the outward expression of a loss. And maybe I'll also just give a bit of a recount of what loss is. And I like the way you put it as loss is when you've parted with something that is very dear to you. It could be a body part, it could be an individual, it could be an object, it could be a pet. And I think that's why sometimes loss becomes very complicated. Like, what do you mean you've lost a job? What do you mean you've actually lost a pet? Why are you sad about it? You should not be sad about it. So that I think I've just explained what loss is and what grief is. Yeah.
I like the fact that you've talked about a pet. You know, as Africans, when people grieve about their pets on social media, the comments that you'll find there, yo. Yeah, but it's important to acknowledge every form of grief.
Yes.
So let's now talk about death. In 2025, we lost icons. We lost Honorable Raila Odinga. We lost the popular musician Betty Bayo. And that's now becomes national grief, where everybody in the country is grieving. But I want us to start with individual grief, loss of an immediate loved one. How does that happen and how do you handle it psychologically?
Okay, so when I'm looking at it like in terms of an individual, if you've lost an individual, first of all, there's the immediate emotional expression that you have. At first, it's like it's shock and it's disbelief, and basically we go through some stages. You've probably heard of some stages of loss and grief, and the first one is in denial. I have seen it in my clinical experience. Whenever you break the news to somebody, they're like, no, this is not possible. We just talked to this person. So there's some form of denial where we don't believe that it's really true. And mostly, especially in hospitals, we allow somebody to even go, and that's why you'll see the body will not be taken away immediately. You let somebody go and hold this person, and really you'll see somebody trying to shake them up, like, wake up, you can't be telling me that you're dead. We just talked. And the saddest thing about death, especially if somebody was in the hospital and if somebody has been terminally ill for a long time, they look like they're not doing things, they're not waking up, they're not responding to things. But about like the day when they're dying, they sort of get a surge of energy, and when they get a surge of energy, they look like they're recovering.
And that's
they're
very common.
Yes, and they're asking for porridge, they're asking for things, they're asking for people, call so and so to come, and there's a lot of hope that people get. And then all of a sudden, they're dead. So there's that part of denial. And then the next stage that they go into is anger. And again, these stages don't follow each other in this linear expression. Sometimes they'll skip, they'll go into acceptance. And especially with men, it's very common for them to just go like, you know what, let's just accept.
Yeah.
Let's accept, and
move on.
Men are more logic people. Like, let's accept and move on. So like the stages, how they're arranged is, so the first one is denial. Like, I don't really believe this is happening. So the next stage that we go to is anger. And again, sorry, I'll just use the reference of the hospital setup because that's where I work. And in terms of anger, they'd be angry at the healthcare providers. Ni nyinyi mlimuua, you're the ones who killed this person. They'd be angry at people around. You'd even see in funerals, they're like, you know, so and so, you didn't take care of your parent, certain family. So there's that outward expression of anger. And sometimes even anger can go with vandalism and destruction of property. Like, because this is the outward expression of my grief in response to this loss. Then the next stage that we go into is bargaining. So bargaining, we're bargaining with a higher deity, and maybe somebody...
Hamza and Kamal will explain
will
better.
be able to explain in relation to the religion. So there's bargaining. You bargain with God. You're saying, you should have let this person stay a little longer.
We had plans.
Yes, we had plans. You could have had people saying, and they just built this house.
Yeah.
And they just
had
gotten
just
this
graduated.
job. They've just graduated. They're moving on to the next level. Why did they get robbed away from us at this point? They should have stayed a year longer. They should have had me say, I'm sorry. Especially when maybe you've...
there was conflict.
There was some kind of conflict. So that is in terms of bargaining. You're bargaining with the higher deity to give you some answers and to just give you some more time. Then we move into depression. And so depression, there's now the expression of sadness, of guilt. I should have done better. We should have taken him to a better hospital. We are having a loss of appetite, or some people even have a higher appetite. There's loss of sleep. You're no longer sleeping. There's worthlessness and hopelessness and helplessness, and like, life can't move on if this person is not there. And it's usually very hurtful for people who were around. Maybe it was a spouse. This is where they slept in the bed. And now maybe for a while I don't want to sleep on their side. And now trying to adjust to life without them. And that's why sometimes you'll even see people are like, take me with them. They'll hug the coffin. They'll want to jump in the grave with them because they cannot imagine living life without them. And that's why there's also suicidal thoughts and suicidal thinking. I don't think life has meaning without this person.
Life then loses meaning.
Yes.
I know we are yet to complete the stages. Sasa tuko kwa depression. I think the next is acceptance. Yeah? We'll come back to you, and then you'll finish that stage. But let's listen from Kamal and Hamza. Starting with you, Kamal. Have you experienced grief or loss on a personal level, and how did you handle it?
Yes, I have. In 2007, something, I'll touch what Daisy has said. My dad was ill. Well, he wasn't ill. He was due for a regular checkup in India, and we flew down to India, and we combined it with a holiday. So we said, first we'll go to the doctors, finish the necessary checkups and whatever, and then we'll start our holiday with him. And they did an endoscopy on him, and also they did the scans and everything. And then we were told he'll be brought back into the room. He will relax. You go and have your meals and come back, and he'll be fine. And he'll be in the recovery mode after that. While we were downstairs in the canteen in the hospital, the doctors called us and he said, "Can you rush up? Your dad is not well and he's gasping for air." So when somebody tells you that, your initial thoughts are he's just into that recovery mode. And when we went up, he was surrounded by doctors. He had all those mask, and he had all the wires attached to him. And here comes the denial part, that hold on, here 2 seconds ago when you left him, he was a normal person in the recovery mode. But now here he can't even talk, he's on wires, he's on mask, and that's when you come to the stage of he's not gone as yet, but you're still not accepting as to what's happened and what is happening. And the doctors are saying, look, we are trying to save his life. And that's when you tell the doctors that, hold on, what did you do while we were away, and what did you do inside the theater? So that's when the denial factor comes in. Though he's still alive, but you're still in that denial, already into that denial factor. And then once they were trying to do everything, and he had 3 massive cardiac arrests, and they couldn't save him. And that's when my mom went and said, look, he's only just about to turn 60. We were planning his surprise in the next
party.
20 days, and things were done. God, why did you do this? You could have just at least spent some more time with us. And exactly what Daisy said, and I can picture that right now happening to me. But it was the denial. For the family, it's very tough. It took my mom, sometimes even now, it's nearly 18 years now, but she still cries, and she goes, what did the doctor do that we couldn't save your dad? So it's a very long process. The grief, it depends how you accept it, but it also depends, the acceptance depends on who is surrounding you. I pray to God that when you have a loss, you are surrounded by good family and friends. And this is something that I say to everyone when I do funerals. Your friends and relatives come for the first 2 days or 3 days, and then everybody has to go back into their daily lives. But that person, or the wife, the children, or the family who have lost their dear and loved, then they're on their own. Yes. It's like a beehive, right? Once the honey is there, the bees are going to be there. Once the honey is finished, all the bees scatter, and it becomes a barren land. And that's how the family is. And I'm taking another cue here, is what we see with the Odinga family. Everybody is going right now to Bondo and grieving with Mama Ida. But time will come when the family is just going to be the 4 of them. Yeah? And that's when they're going to feel the vacuum. And I feel, this is my suggestion that I give to everybody, that we should all take time and grieve with the family over a few months, not just go every day and then within a couple of weeks we all disappear. That grieving period, I hope Daisy will agree with me, and other of the viewers will also agree with me, is that once we all go away, the 4 of them are going to find it so difficult, because they were used on Monday they had 50 people at their house, and on Tuesday they have 0. It's just the 4 of them, right? And the immediate family. But it's just the 4 who are really going to feel that vacuum. Because and as Mama has said, that they told her that he's just going to India and he's going to come back.
Yes.
That to digest that, it's going to be very difficult for her. And that's what we need to do.
Thank you, Kamal. We'll come back to you, and of course you'll talk to us about the Hindu perspective of grief. But let's listen to Hamza. Hamza, karibu sana tena kwenye kipindi hiki. Tueleze, wewe ume experience loss ama grief, and how was it for you?
Asante. Naweza kusema hakuna siku mtu anazoea kifo. Kifo kila siku kinakuwa ni mpya. Hata kama familia yako pengine alikuwa mgonjwa, akifa si ati ulikuwa unatarajia atakufa. Lakini ni Mwenyezi Mungu ndio anapanga. Nimepitia vile wenzangu wamesema nimepitia. 2015 nimepoteza mke. 2017 nikapoteza mama. 2018 nikapoteza baba. Kwa kweli huwa inatingiza. Lakini ukija kwetu pande ya Uislamu tunaambiwa ni kutoka kwa hii mchanga ndio tumeumbwa, na katika hii mchanga ndio tutarudishwa, na katika hii mchanga vile vile ndio tutarudi kutolewa tena siku ya hesabu, siku ya Kiyama. Wajua kupoteza mke pia ni mzito zaidi. Kupoteza mke, kwa wale ambao wamepoteza wake wanajua ni mtihani ambayo Mwenyezi Mungu hupeana iliyo nzito sana. Alafu kwa ile muda wazazi ambayo walikuwa watachukua jukumu ya kuona watoto pia wakafuata. Kwa hivyo ni kitu ambayo inakuwaga ni mzito, lakini imani ya kuweka kwa Mwenyezi Mungu kuwa yeye ndiye na ndio sisi Waislamu kuwa ikifika hapo kuna neno ya Mwenyezi Mungu ambaye tunasema immediate ikitoka tu hiyo maneno ya kifo, nasema kwake yeye tumetoka na kwake yeye ndio tutarudishwa. Si tutarudi, tutarudishwa. Maanake yeye mwenyewe ndiye anaturudisha huko. Ya pili pia kuna neno ambaye tunatumia na mara nyingi Waislamu wote wanaambiwa watumie wakati unaenda kumzuru mtu ambaye amefelewa. Unamwambia ameichukua mwenye kuleta, kwa hivyo wewe kubali. Mwenye kukupatia ndio mwenye kuchukua. Kwa hivyo ni mtihani ambaye Mwenyezi Mungu anajua vile atakavyo kukuweka ukue sawa. Amepanga jambo. Ndio unaona tunaambiwa, nimesikia daktari akisema hapa, kuna wale wanaosema sasa si ungeniwachia muda. Kuna time nilikuwa Kenyatta Hospital nikienda kuona mgonjwa saa 7, ikatokea kuna familia walipoteza baba. Yule msichana alitoka ward tayari kwa ile mahali kuna mwanya karibu ajirushe, kwa kusema alipata kazi juzi, baba ungeningoja ukule mshahara yangu ya kwanza. Lakini Mwenyezi Mungu ndiye anapanga. Akipanga huyu baba angepata hiyo mshahara angepata. Na akiweka kuwa hatapata. Lakini mimi nilikuwa nikamzungumzia huyo msichana na akarudi chini. Hiyo wakati nilipoteza mke, nilikuja kutangaziwa baada karibu ya masaa 1 kwa sababu sikuwa nyumbani. Ilikuwa imetafutwa wale marafiki mashehe wale wenzangu wako karibu mpaka wanipate, na washukuru kwa sababu walienda wakanipeleka mpaka hoteli nikanywa chai. Baada ya hiyo ndio wakakuja kuniambia. So lakini baada muda kama dakika 30 niliona ile movement yao vile wanavyoniweka hapa na hapa, nikajua kwa sababu mke alikuwa mgonjwa na alikuwa Kenyatta. Sasa nikajua. Kwa hivyo kupokea nini ya kifo, hakuna siku mtu anazoea. Hata kama baba yako ni 200 years. Hata kama mama yako ni 80, 90 years. Hata kama ni mwendazimu. Sio ati unaweza sema tu kwanza hata baba ameenda ilikuwa tu mwendazimu. Hakuna. Na hata kama ni family ambayo unatoaga yeye nje kwa kiti anaota jua na unamrudisha, hakuna siku utasema ati ameondoka mimi nimepumzika sasa. Hapana. Kuna ile kama ni mwendazimu, kuna ile kitu anasumbuana naye nyumbani kitakuwa kimekosa. Kutakuwa imekosa. Na kama ni mzazi umezoea kumtoa nje kumrudisha ndani, aote hiyo pia lazima utakosa. Kwa hivyo kupokea nini ya kifo sio kitu. Hata ukiona juzi hapa Kenya kila kitu lisimama. Wakati breaking news ilitoka kila mahali lisimama. Kwa kwetu hata Kibera upata maduka zote zilikuwa zimefungwa, si ati kwa sababu ya fujo, kwa sababu siku hizi hakuna fujo Kibera. Hakuna fujo Kibera siku hizi, amani. Ile ilifungwa ile tu, yani watu walishtuka.
Sawa Hamza, asante sana, na pole Hamza na Kamal, of course, for the loss of your dad and your wife and parents. Sio rahisi. Tunataka kuchukua break, but before that, Daisy, tueleze, how have you handled grief, and have you experienced grief?
Have I experienced grief? I've experienced grief. Allow me, I'll quickly just say of 2 examples. And maybe these 2 examples touch on
Kamal and Hamza.
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the examples is I am personally a Sabaot. A Sabaot is a Kalenjin subgroup that is located in Mount Elgon, next to the border. I lost my uncle, my maternal uncle, and as is the cultural practice of Sabaots or Kalenjins, is we bring the body home, the body sleeps home, and then we bury it like the next day. That's the normal way.
Yes.
But now my uncle, in his will, he'd written that he wants the body to be cremated, which is what the Hindu brothers do. And it is particularly in Kitale. So they took the body there, and I think even my parents were really shocked. Like,
it is not our
and I was
culture.
saying, a Sabaot is being cremated, and everybody was there with videos and asking, how is this process going to be done? And then eventually they had a small box, and then that small box is what was buried. And people said this is something so westernized. But what I realized is that there's a respect of the dead person's wishes. What they said, regardless of the cultural practices, what they said is what should be done.
Yes.
Another loss that I experienced was the loss of my grandfather. And my mother is hypertensive. So when my grandfather died, it was, and for me having, like me being the closest thing to a doctor, I needed to stay strong for my mother. And even as I was grieving for my mother and looking at how much effort she's putting in terms of the treatment and in everything. And my mom even had a hypertensive attack, like her pressure went up, and I was so focused on making sure she's okay and not really grieving the loss of my grandfather. So that was a little bit complicated for me. And one thing that somebody told me that didn't sit really right with me, and I agree with you, is that he was old, he's lived his life. Let him go.
Yes.
I mean,
let him rest in peace.
Let him rest in peace. He'd been sick, he'd been in pain, so let him rest in peace. That is very, I feel like it's very inhuman to say those things. And I think in my practice, you need to understand the background of this person, you need to understand the religious experience of this person, and maybe they don't sit well with you, or they are not the normal things. I've heard of the Islam, they bury the same day, regardless of whether the family members are there or not. And for us, we are thinking, no, let this body stay. Is this really right? But if that's their cultural practice, if that's their religious practice, and if that's the dead person's wish, I think that's the best way to do it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Daisy. And you've touched on something that will now come into when we take the break. I relate with you when you say that you felt hurt when somebody told you your grandfather was sick, was old, let him rest. When I lost my dad in 2018, during the burial, somebody came. When they were viewing the body, my mom was crying. And this person told my mom, he was sick, let him rest. You know, I've never forgotten. They were telling my mom, but it got to me, you know. So if someone is grieving and you don't know the right words to say, you'd just rather be there with them.
Do you know what we say in our culture, Daisy, is that no matter how old that person is, like literally translating, I'm translating one of a verse in our Hindu scriptures, is that no matter how old the person is, they're there to give you that shadow
Yes.
and that protection.
Yes. Their presence
of
matters.
presence.
Whether they are sick
yes,
or
whether
old.
they're sick. You know, you come home and you say, hi dad, hi
Yeah,
mom,
yeah.
or hi granddad, hi grandmom, and then all of a sudden they're gone. You feel that there's nobody to come home to.
Yes.
So I know where you're coming from.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Kamal. Thank you, Daisy and Hamza. We are taking a short break. When we come back, now we'll talk about the different religions and how they handle grief and loss. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, this is the Health and Wellness Show. My name is Chebet Birir, and we are talking about grief. And before we went for a break, we were talking about individual grief, and everybody here on set has actually experienced grief, including me. And so you see why it is a very important topic to talk about it and how to handle grief. Now we want now to talk about how the different religions handle grief. We have Kamal, who is an Indian, we have Daisy is a Christian, and Hamza is a Muslim, and I'm a Christian as well. So we want to help you understand the different religions and how they handle grief. And I want us to start with the extreme left, Kamal. You handle funerals, Hindu funerals to be specific. So please tell us, from the time someone dies, what happens?
The first thing I'm going to say is, you know, grief has no race, no creed, no color.
Absolutely.
It comes and it comes to everyone. As what my brother told me and what my sister told me here is that at the end of the day, we all know where we're going because that's where we came from. But it's very hard to accept. No matter what age you are and at what stage you are in life. So basically for the Hindu culture, what happens is that somebody passes away, they call us, and if it's at home, we guide them in terms of what the legality process is and also what the culture process is. Before, in the olden days, we never used to take anybody to a mortuary.
Allow me to take you back a bit.
Sure.
How do you break the news first?
How do we break the news?
Is there a formula?
You mean to the
the person who's lost a loved one or the family?
That's the doctor.
That's the doctor.
That's the doctor.
Okay.
Or that if it's at home, then obviously either the son or the wife has gone to wake them up, or they've woken up next to them and they've seen that they're not breathing anymore. Then the process starts of calling the doctor or calling us. But obviously it's not our job to pronounce them gone, but it's the doctor who then certifies the necessary details to be done.
Okay.
But then once, as I was saying, that in the olden days, we never used to take anybody to the mortuary because it was a big taboo for us in our culture. Also, we used to do it as the same way the Muslims do. It's an immediate burial, and we would for us it was an immediate cremation. But as of times have gone and your family has evolved in other parts of the world, we have now gone with the world, with the times, and we take them to the mortuary. So coming back, just going back in history, we would bring ice blocks, and then we would have the jute bags, the gunias as we call them, and we would put them. We had them in stock with us. We'll put them on the floor, put ice blocks, we'd put some more gonias, we'd put some more bed sheets, and then put the deceased on it. And in case if we had to wait for somebody, for a family or so. But even that waiting process would not exceed more than 24 hours.
Okay.
Or less.
Okay.
Because the most we would wait for is somebody from Mombasa or Kisumu or parts of Kenya. Even Tanzania or Uganda would not wait because it would take time for them to cross the borders and whatever.
Unless they're taking a flight.
But at that time, flights were very expensive for us. You know, now things have become cheaper.
Yes.
And from UK to here, it's 8 hours. You're here. The time difference plays a big part of it. But that time, things were difficult.
Okay.
Even phone calls, to call somebody to tell a son or the daughter that your father has passed away or your mother's passed away or your relative has passed away in England, you would have to go through that operator. Once the operator calls you and they get through to the UK number, things are already dead and finished. So that's what the olden day processors was for us. But now what we do is we take them to the mortuary, we preserve it, and we wait for the family members to advise us as to what they want to do. Again, as we said, we have now evolved in the good times and the times ahead, is we also do, initially we never used to do the furnace cremation, the cremator, which is powered by the diesel or by gas. We just used to do traditional, which is with the woods. Which you saw in Kitale.
Yes, yes.
But the cremator facilities are only available in Nairobi for Hindu funerals. And also the county government has also got one in Langata. And so we have 2 furnaces in Karioko. And so we give the family a choice. Do they want to do traditional, which is the wood, or do you want to go the greener way now, which is the cremator. And a lot of families are now accepting to do cremator. So basically we give them, as soon as we've given them a choice, they'll make a choice. Also now, this is something your viewers, I know I'm going to divert a bit and take over your show.
It's okay. We're having a conversation, so it's fine.
But I want my viewers to know, or your viewers to know, is that, you know, now we're encouraging the families to allow us for the deceased to donate their corneas after they've passed away, and in the Muslim culture, even in the Christian culture, and even in our culture, donation plays a very big part in our lives. It says you're reducing your karmas, right? And so we say the last donation, the best donation you can do before you leave this world is give your 2 corneas to somebody who can see after you, because at the end of the day, you're buried, you're cremated, it's all ashes at the end of the day.
Thank you, Kamal. Yeah. We have an hour and some more.
Yes.
So we'll come back to you. Let's talk to Hamza. Hamza, Muislamu anapoaga dunia, procedure gani inafuatwa?
Naam, Muislamu anapoaga dunia anaweza kuwa nyumbani ama anaweza kuwa hospitalini. Kama ameaga nyumbani, kwa mfano huku Kibra na hata Majengo wapi, tuko na madaktari wetu Waislamu ambaye tunawapigia simu wakuje wathibitishe kwanza. Kwa sababu unajua kuna vile unaweza fanya, wengine wanasema Waislamu wanazika kama mtu bado ako hai. Sio hivyo. Sio hivyo.
Because you do it so fast.
Tunayo kwanza kuthibitisha huyo amefariki. Na kuthibitisha nyumbani, tunao madaktari wetu nyumbani. Wale wanafanya kazi ndio, lakini wako na makliniki zao nyumbani. Hao ndio wanaitwa kwanza wakuje wapime mpaka wahakikishe amefariki. Na kama ni Kenyatta ama hospitali yoyote, siku hizi wako na ile njia ya kupiga simu. Lakini hiyo pia, njia hiyo pia tumeona pia inakuaga ni rahisi ya kupokea habari ya kifo. Kwa sababu daktari anapokupigia simu anakuambia mgonjwa wako ako mahututi, anakuita. Sasa wewe mwenyewe si unajiuliza, huyu mgonjwa ako kwa mkono ya huyo daktari huko. Sasa ananiita,
daktari amelemewa,
amesema mgonjwa wangu ako hali mahututi. Ni kawaida ukitoka hapo utajua kuna kitu kibaya pale, kwa sababu daktari yeye ndio mjuzi. Kwa hivyo pia hiyo ni njia ya kupokea. Na tukifikaga hospitali, tukiona tushapelekwa room ingine hapo. Wewe unajua hiyo room.
Psychologist.
Naambiwa ngoja kidogo, watu wanazunguka tu. Wanakuja ngoja kidogo, wanazunguka. Sasa wewe, sisi kama mimi nadhani shughuli zangu ni kama yake. Ndio Kibira mimi ndio na shughulikaga na matanga yote, kifo zote, napigiwa simu saa 7, saa ngapi ya usiku. Mimi naenda. Nikienda hospitali kama nikiona hivyo, mimi nakuaga niko tayari. Nikiona ile room alafu kidogo daktari anaingia, ngojeni kidogo, hivyo mimi najua.
Unajua ni.
So kama ni nyumbani, daktari ameshathibitisha ameaga, pale kuna familia kiasi ambayo wako pale. Kitu ya kwanza, sisi hatutakagi kupiga nduru kwanza. Sheria ya dini inasema mkuwe na subira kwanza, kwa sababu ile nyumba inafaa, kuna vitu nyingi zinafaa zitolewe, ziwekwe katika room nyingine, zifungwe. Kwa sababu once ukipiga nduru na bado ndio imethibitishwa saa hii, kuna wale watakaokuja na ujui ni kina nani. Kuna vitu vinaweza kupotea pale ndani. Kwa hivyo kitu ya kwanza, unaongelesha familia watulie, hizo vitu ziwekwe room moja na izifungwe na kifunguu ipeane kwa mtoto wake mmoja, alafu sasa ndio mwanze kufanya matayarisho ya kuwa hapo unaambia family usipige simu kwanza kwa watu wengine. Wacha tutengeze mipango hapa kabisa. Kama ni kuogesha ile, unajua kila mtu anakufa kifo yake. That's why Waislamu tunasema before kupiga nduru, the family wakwe hapo haraka, upate kuogesha ile ya kwanza.
So tuseme ni mama ama mwanaume.
Mwanaume ni wanaume.
Nani wanaume? Wanaume ndo wataosha mwanaume. Na kama ni mama,
mama ndio
watamuosha.
We have two teams.
Okay. So na ni familia ama ni nyinyi group ya?
Sheria ya Kiislamu kwanza inasemaga wanaotakikana kushughulikia huyo maiti ni jamaa zake.
Jamaa zake.
Ni jamaa zake kabisa.
So familia.
Sasa familia ndio huwa inatoa ruhusa. Inasema kama shehe, kwa sababu sasa sisi mashehe tuko. Wanasema mashehe tunawaomba muendelee. Na sisi pia sasa hatutakubali, tunachukua kama familia 3 hapo. Wakuwe hapo waone vile tunafanya, kwa sababu next time tutataka wao wafanye, si tu kila mara.
Also Daisy, you have to be very careful because again we're talking about the grief.
Yes.
How that person or how the family member accepts that person in the mortuary or in the room. You could have another incident. You've lost one, but you could have another incident while you're dressing and bathing the deceased, right?
Because
somebody's not that strong in accepting. Then
so
you might have another issue. So you have to be very careful, and also, as I understand with Hamza, I can say, John, Jurgen, Moy, let's go inside. But then I don't know how strong either of the 3 are. But I don't want to stop them from coming in and participating and giving their loved one the final farewell. That closure. So you have to be very, very careful. You have to be very balanced in doing things and allowing people to do what you have to do.
Yes. And for Hindus, you still do the same day, or do we now have families saying we'll cremate after 2 days or 4 days?
We'll wait, and sometimes if there's nobody coming, if that person is on the last stage of cancer, or they know that he's old and he's going, and the sons have come and visited, or the brothers have come and visited, and now they can't come from overseas, or for any reason whatsoever, and they make that decision, then we do it straight away. If not, then we wait for the days that we know that they're coming in. But I'm just going to add something here with Hamza. I myself, I'm scared of going to the hospital and visiting the sick of our community or my friends, because with the work that I do, they say, and as soon as I enter the door, my time is not up.
Oh yeah, they know you.
Yes.
So they see you. Oh my goodness.
It's you're helping the community. You're doing something for the good. But at the same time, you can't participate in their sickness.
Okay.
It's like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody wants to see him.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Nilikuwa nasema ile
the
wakati
process
ya kwanza ile
ya ku-
process
eh,
baada ya kutayarishwa, alafu sasa kuna mkutano itaitwa familia.
so wameshaosha
Wameshaosha ile ya kwanza, si ya kuosha kwenda kuzika.
Oh,
Kuna kuosha ya
kuosha mara
kwanza.
mbili.
Ya kwanza ile.
Ehe.
Ile ya kwanza uoshwe, alafu sasa family waitane, waulizane tutazika
Wapi,
Saa
saa
ngapi?
ngapi?
leo ama kesho.
Okay. So ni either leo ama kesho. Okay.
So vile watakavyo
Amua.
amua, lakini pia kuna dini inawaguide hapo. Inawaguide hapo, dini inawaguide kama inawatolea namna ambayo inasemekana mtu akifa harakishwe kuzikwa. Pengine wako na reason yao, kama vile mwenzangu hapa amesema, Kamara amesema, wale within country, wale wako ndani ya nchi wameomba, si ati
wasubiri.
wamelazimisha, wameomba. Hiyo sasa wanafanyiwa ihsani, wanafanyiwa ihsani, lakini sio ati wanalazimisha.
sio
Wanaomba
dini
sisi
sio
tu
hivyo.
na tuko na time, na hata kama basi tumepata, yani wamesha hakikisha.
Okay.
Kuna wale hata wanatoka Qatar,
So tuseme sasa wameambiwa, wameomba hisani. Sasa wakishafika
wakishafika
nini inaendelea?
wakishafika tunatayarisha sasa kuogesha ile ya pili na ya kwenda
Kuzikwa. No, kuna tuseme vifaa ama vitu ambavyo anapakwa ama kuvalishwa ama
ni sanda. Sisi tunatumia sanda. Sanda tunaita coffin, but ni sanda. Mwanaume ni shuka 3 tu. Ni shuka 3 tu kwa urefu yake ya mwanaume ipite, na kwa kando yake pia ipite, isiwe ndogo. Hiyo kwa mwanamke ndio, kwa sababu tunaheshimu wanawake, ile kumsitiri mwanamke. Kwa mwanamke tuko na shuka 2, alafu tuko na marinda yote white. Marinda
pia kwa wanaume ni white.
Yote white.
Okay.
Mwanamke ako na marinda ya white, ni tu ile kama skirt, lakini haishonwi. Alafu kuna dress ambaye pia inapita kiasi mkono, na inaweza kuwa na kofia ama kitambaa ya kufunga kichwa. Alafu sasa ni hiyo shuka 2 sasa inazungushwa naye.
Okay.
Alafu lazima iwe na marashi kidogo. Hivyo.
Okay.
Hizo ndio zile. Na kwa nini inazikwa haraka? Uislamu haina gharama. Ya mazishi haina gharama.
Tutakuja hapo. Wacha sasa tutarudi hapo. Wacha tuende kwa Wakristo sasa. Daisy, what do you know about the Christian passage into the afterlife?
Thank you. This is a very interesting discussion, because
know.
I'm also wearing the hat of a psychologist,
Yes.
trying to understand
Yes,
and trying
both
to not
religious.
demean any culture, any religion. So in terms of, and maybe allow me to deviate a little bit into what happens. I'm glad that Hamza has mentioned how whenever he sees doctors pacing about, he knows what is
preparation.
happening. Yes. So in my training, I had an instance where I had to break the bad news to the family about the loss.
So was this a training or practical real life situation where somebody had actually lost someone?
So now this is, it is in a practical situation,
So,
because for us in our practice, you have to practice in a hospital with real individuals.
So it had actually happened?
Yes, it had actually happened.
Wow. Okay.
So in my practice, we were told to go around and see whether there are any patients who need mental health expertise or counseling, or somebody who has a psychiatric problem. So when we were passing about, we realized in one of these beds that had been screened, like which had a curtain, there was somebody who kept on talking. So they are talking, and in our thought we were thinking they're delirious or they're mentally ill. So we noted down the name and we said we're going to come back when they're a bit stable to do an assessment on them. Woe unto us, because it was a public hospital and it's really congested. People were around, and whenever the doctors are doing the rounds, they tell family members, please leave as we examine the patient. So the family members were around. I think it was the spouse. It was a male person, so the spouse was around. And so the spouse left and went, and then called church members and told church members, come and visit. So they came with thermoses of tea, the way we do in our African setup.
Yes.
Thermoses of tea coming to visit this person. And they're saying, this person is even getting better. They're even speaking. They've asked for a certain person to come.
Yes, sometimes I'm told they ask for a particular type of food. Maybe they had asked for the tea.
Yes, they'd asked for the tea. So during that whole, and you know, the ward rounds are happening at around 9 and the visiting hours are around 1.
So that's
during
9 a.m.
No, like
PM.
9 a.m. until 1 p.m. So 1
Okay.
p.m. during lunchtime, that's the visiting hours. So after that whole, we've noted down the name. And then now we are called, we are being told, now you see, unfortunately, this person has died and we need to call the family members and tell them about the bad news. So we don't normally remove the body from the bed. We
Before
leave
the
it
family
there.
comes.
Yes.
Yes.
So what we do, we'll just screen the bed and we'll cover the body with a white sheet. We'll cover it all the way to the head. And we usually have small counseling rooms in public hospitals. They'll just give you a small room. Maybe it's a pantry. That's where you're going to do the counseling from. So my supervisor called me and told me and one of my other colleague students that you're going to break the bad news to this family. So we were trying to get the doctor, because the doctor is the person who certifies the death. So we were trying to get the doctor, but for some reason the doctor had already left, but had already certified and then left. So we tried to look for
I would think they were avoiding breaking the news.
Yes.
So when ndio umeachiwa
mimi ndio nimeachiwa mzigo. So we are trying to get the doctor. The supervisor is just telling us, oh, so it's lunchtime. And the family members come with tea and they've come with church members.
What?
We are coming to see this person
and
who's
wait,
gotten
before they
better.
came, they were called, right?
No, they've not yet been
It's
called.
just a normal visit.
Yeah, it's just a normal visit
Yes.
because it's 1 p.m. So they're coming with thermoses
To
of
visit
tea,
their
and
patient.
the pantry room is next to the entrance, and we are stopping them. We're telling them, no, wait, the doctor needs to speak to you. And they're saying, you know what, tell the doctor they'll find us by the bedside as we're going. And we're telling them, no, just come into this room, have a seat. We're trying to get the doctor, and we realized if we don't get the doctor in time,
they will find
the body, and then it will just be something very delirious, and things will just get out of control. So we got them into the room, and the first thing that we asked them is, how was your family member? Mgonjwa wenyu alikuwa aje? And they're saying, alikuwa sawa. The patient was getting better. When you left him, what was the last thing the doctor told you? That he needs to go to ICU. And when somebody is unwell,
so they were told the patient needs to go to
ICU. That was the last communication they were given. And the last time when you left this patient, the psychologist was asking, when somebody is sick, you know, we're trying to get them to the concept of they're unwell, so they could get better, but they're a bit closer to death. So we're saying when somebody is unwell and then they keep on getting unwell, what happens to them? And other people in the room could not understand, and they kept on saying, they just get sicker. They're like, no, when this person gets unwell, what happens? And in the room, I think there are few people who picked up on the cues, and they were silent. They were in shock. And before we knew it, now there's somebody who had the first scream came from this person, and they were screaming and they were wailing. And now the tea that was meant for the patient ended up being the tea for the family, because they're in shock. Somebody is fainting. We are pulling one person, taking them to try and resuscitate them in the next room. And now I understand why he's saying he should not wail. Yes. And I'm understanding why he's saying that there are people who are allowed in the room and others are not allowed in the room.
Yes. Now we sorry, there is, I know it's a lengthy conversation, and it's a very interesting conversation. But I want us to close this part of the show, and then we'll come back to part 2. But before we close, I want you to explain to us the Christian perspective now. And we'll come back to now the breaking of the news and the acceptance and the stages of grief way later. But what's your perspective as a Christian on how to handle death?
So first things first, even with a Christian towards the dying, and especially when it is something called anticipatory grief,
where
we know this person is unwell and we know that they're heading towards death. So the first thing, and maybe I speak for various Christian denominations, some of them will say, I want you to call a Christian pastor to just come and pray for me. So the pastor will come and pray. If they want to repent of their sins, they are going to repent of their sins and sort of put their house in order so to say. And now after that death has happened, the next thing that they now do is we are going to look for, okay, maybe that's the church member, if that is anticipatory, or if it's a sudden death, we now have to look at which church did they go to. Unfortunately, this is what I'm hearing. Sometimes if this person had disappeared from church, the pastors might shy away from coming to officiate it. Sorry to say that. But sometimes I say grief is, and the whole burial practices is for the surviving people, for the people who are left behind. So that means that the people who are left behind, which church did they go to? So let's call this person. And again, putting in with Christianity, it has gone also into a bit of cultural practices.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll specifically speak about my culture.
Yes.
And specifically for my culture, what happens, and as I mentioned, I'm Sabaot from the Western culture. This person, so we will go view the body. The body has already been taken to the mortuary. On the day for removing the body, we will take it out, we will open it, and people can view. Or again, before even there's the whole dressing up for this dead person. So they look for somebody who's close by, a close family member, to just go be present and help with, this is the clothing item that this person is going to wear. So the person will be dressed up, will be put in the coffin, people will view, and then there's the taking of the body home. And for us, it attracts a bigger cost than for Kina Hamza.
Yes, because for many Christians, they
Yeah.
also intertwine with culture, so it
Yeah.
varies
Yeah.
from Luos to Luyas to Kalenjins. Utapata, now for Kalenjins, haifai kupita 1 week.
Yeah.
At least 1 week.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for people like Luos and Luyas, hata wanaweza kaa 1 month before they
Yeah,
bury.
yes,
Which now,
yes.
like Hamza says, while Muslims don't have gharama as tunaanza michango.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, but the Christian perspective of grief and mourning, of course, is that once you're gone, you're gone. And now it is now for the family to accept and mourn.
Yeah.
And a reference to Matthew 5:4, which says that blessed are those who mourn,
Yeah.
because they shall be comforted. So in this case now, Jesus Christ offers that comfort to the family, and also the community comes together
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be there for that family or that person who's lost their loved one.
Yeah.
We've talked about the different cultures. The Muslims pray for their dead. Even I don't know about the Hindus, but they do pray for their dead. For Christians, I know Catholics are the ones who pray for their dead. For other denominations, they say, thank you for the time that you gave us with them. Now they are gone. If they were not saved, that's it. If they were born again, we thank God. All right. Thank you so much for being with us through this very interesting episode of the show. We are taking a break for the first part, and then in the second part, now we'll talk about the burial and the years and the days after that person has been buried. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Chabet Birir. See you again in the second part, which is next week.